Jagrata. The deeper spiritual states should not be seen as experiences or altered states of consciousness. They are merely sitting in a seat that is deeper, viewing from a higher place. When one does that, everything changes. It's just a deeper seat inside of you. If you're angry and you bring to a situation problems, preconceived notions, tensions, anger, everything looks a certain way. Anyone can say anything, it looks like they're attacking you. Anything can move, it irritates you. You know this. If you sit a little further back and you bring into a situation a more centered being, then everything looks different. If you sit even further back and you're not even in the situation, you just have this sense that you exist, you are present, and this is what is coming toward you. What this? These colors, these forms, these words, these sounds. Sound is like wind. It comes at you. Wind doesn't only blow on your face. It's blowing right past you and just happens to hit your face because you're there. But the wind, just see it as much broader than that. Words are the same. The words don't stop at your ears. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard of. The words have nothing to do with you. They're just passing through. They hit the person behind you and the tree, not just your eardrum. There's nothing personal about the wind. There's nothing personal about sound. It just happens to be passing by in that direction at that moment. Sight is the same thing. The eyes are windows, and light comes in. But light is everywhere, and the light that's coming in, bouncing off of the things around you, is also bouncing right past you. It's hitting your cheek and your forehead. Do you doubt that? You think it's a laser beam, and it just heads right for your eyeball? Not a chance. It's just a beam of light, a wide spectrum array, and it's coming and just happens to also hit your eyeball. There's nothing personal about it. I don't see the pole freaking out because light is hitting it. I don't see the wall freaking out because sound is hitting it. So why, because you happen to exist, are any of these things personal? Why is the light of the sun, which is bouncing off of form and reflecting waves of colors back in whatever direction you look, why do those waves of light have any effect on you other than bathe you? Because you are conscious and therefore you are aware that these things are passing through. That is a higher state of consciousness. You see, you don't have to leave your body. You don't have to astral project. You are in a deeper seat of consciousness. You are capable of remaining conscious, aware, centered, clear, while that which is. Sounds like such a simple thing, no one can do it. It's downright embarrassing that you can't just sit there and be and let that which is pass by you. It's just passing through. So the words, the sounds, the sights, and that which touches all of your senses is also all around you. I want you to see that. It just happens to be hitting your senses. Now, what does that do when it hits your senses? it brings back messages to you so you can be aware of them. The yogi who's in a deep state is aware of them. There's no renunciation because there's something wrong with the world. It's evil, it's dirty, it's tempting, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's just light passing by. It's just sound passing by. There's nothing doing anything except for you. And so the yogi in a deep state permits what is to be and is capable of just being aware in each moment that he is aware and that this is what's happening in this moment. In this state, there are no problems. If you sit there and you go out on a boat into the ocean, there's all kinds of little waves, little wavelets and ripples and little spray and this and that. Which one of them is a problem? It's not storming, it's just a kind of a normal day. Which one of those little waves that comes through a little riplets poses a problem? None. Which one's right? None. Which one's wrong? None. They're all just what they are. They're all just little waves in the ocean. That is how a yogi lives in this world. How can anything be a problem? All that you're asked to do is be aware of it. Nobody asked you to make it. Nobody asked you to create the sounds. Nobody asked you to control them. Nobody asked you to create the light which is reflecting through time and space. All that was asked of you is, can you sit in there and be aware of what is happening in creation? And what you find is that sometimes, if you meditate a lot, that you will be given the gift of clarity. And that you can. And that you can just be there. And nothing's happening inside when the outside is doing its dance, except that you are aware of it. As simple as that sounds, that's a great state. Tremendous peace comes over your whole being. You cannot even comprehend why you would have ever had a problem on this plane. Nobody's asking you to do anything. It's all happening by itself. In the Zen teaching, the Taoist teachings, then tens of thousands of things are as they are. They rise and fall as they will. You're not doing it. It's all just happening by itself. The world is spinning through outer space, staying in orbit. The atoms are bonding. The molecular laws are taking place. Your digestion is taking place. Your blood, everything. People's minds are doing whatever stuff they need to do. Everything is going on in this world without you doing anything. And the day that you are able to just be and permit it to be what it is, and permit it to come at you and pass through you and leave you as it found you, clear, clean, centered, undisturbed, you will know what it means to have changed your state of consciousness. You don't have to see lights. You're always seeing light. That's what's happening here. Light is reflecting off of your eyeballs and being transferred back in your optical nerve. Don't start making mumbo-jumbo things spiritual. It is everyday life that is spiritual. It is the creation of God. Out of nothing comes all this. And you have the gift of consciousness. Now, that state of serenity, of peace, of contentment, of clarity, you will find is rare. The fun part of your growth is when sometimes you have that state. After a deep meditation or just God's grace, you just have that state a little bit. And you see that there's no reason to ever not have that state. And then something happens outside. I wish it could all be in slow motion. One of those words, sounds coming at you, all of a sudden you're not in that state anymore. What? That sound was different than any other sound? How did that sound be different than any other sound? That one didn't make it past you, it only went to your ear? No way. It's just a ripple. But somehow when it came inside of you, the inside of you changed. How's that? Ever happen? How about ever not happen? Right? the inside of you changed. It did something. It's not quiet in there anymore. It wasn't just a sound. Why? Why is any sound different than any other sound? Why is any word different than any other word? It's just something you perceive. But if it goes in slow motion, you will notice that all of a sudden you're there aware, and the mind is talking a mile an hour. How could he say that to me? I can't. You're not getting away with it. No way in the world. I'm not going to let him talk. If I let people talk like that with me, on and on and on. And your heart, it starts going like that. What happened? A word happened to pass through time and space, and all of that went on inside of you? Why? Who dares to ask the question? How come every other word didn't do that? How come the word that he said to her, that did it to her, didn't do it to you? What is this magic in words? And this is the question the yogi asks. Yoga is about peace, real peace, the peace that passeth all understanding. It's about understanding yourself to know why that happens. I don't care why atoms bond the way they do. I care why when they bond a certain way, that happens inside of me. And they bond another way, and it doesn't. Why? What in the world is going on in this situation? Now you're starting to understand the truths of the universe. So far we have let there be two things in creation. Creation, everything you see here, every single thing outside of you. You, the one that exists, the consciousness, the one that's aware that you're aware that you're aware. Clarity. And now there's this third thing. The inner mess. The inner ocean that can become stirred up due to these sensory receptions. Do you think that the wind has any idea that it caused you to freak out because it blew past you? It just keeps blowing. This person lets their hair down and lets it blow through them. They think it's the most wonderful experience they've ever lived. The person next to them is sitting there and they start freaking out. I don't like the wind. It's spooky. In other words, it hits something inside. So now we start to catch on there's another part of the universe. That which is inside of you. It's not you. What do you mean it's not me? If it's inside of me, it's me. No, not right. How do you know? Because you're aware of it. It's still an object of consciousness. If your heart starts hurting, you can come to me and say, man, my heart was hurting so bad. And I say, how do you know? You look at me like I'm crazy. You say, what do you mean, how do I know? I'm in here, and I felt it. This is all subject-object talk. I felt it. I'm in here. Who is? Who felt it? This is your state of consciousness. You felt it. The same you who looks through the eyes, the same you who hears through the ears, the same you who felt your heart pop open with love is the same you who feels your heart start closing and hurting. In other words, your inner emotions and inner thoughts are objects of the self. They are objects of consciousness, the same as the outer things are objects of consciousness. Now you're starting to distinguish the outer world, the inner world, and the seat of the self, the consciousness, the awareness itself. And what you will see, to make a long story short, because you've lived in there as long as I have, you know darn well what I'm talking about, is that the outside can affect the inside. The outside can affect the inside. Why? Why would the wind make that happen? Why would a word make that happen? Why would a sight, like any other sight, make that happen? Why all of a sudden, if she looks over here and this is what she sees, it's like this, then all of a sudden she looks over there and there's a particular person sitting over there, and her heart goes, it jumps like that, all this noise starts happening inside, and she starts getting weird in there. Why is that vision any different than that vision, or that vision, that vision? This is what you must explore if you want to be free. Because if you do not, you will never be free. You will never have consciousness. What will happen is the things that change in this ever-changing world will inevitably cause either a rise or fall in your inner state. They will either cause the mind to start saying, oh, I like that. That's nice. I want that. And the heart going, for a good reason. You feel real open, you feel attracted, or the mind will start saying, get away from me. I don't want to be near that person. Oh my God, I can't handle this. and start closing, one of those two things will happen. It will either bring you up or it will bring you down. It will open you or it will close you. Have you noticed? And these things that are just passing through time will somehow make this happen. It's like magic. They're all way out there. They can't touch you. They're just things you receive through your senses. But this stuff in here can touch you, can't it? Heavy duty. If you don't pay attention to this, and most people do not, the natural reaction will be that you will lose your seat of consciousness. You will freak out when these things change inside, and you will freak when they go negative, and you will freak when they go positive. You are freaking out just as much because you feel madly in love with somebody or tremendously attracted to them as you are because you hate them and you're repulsed. In both cases, you can't sit still. In both cases, the whole inner being is going bananas, and the mind is talking a mile a minute, and the heart's going through all kinds of stuff, and you're not centered. And you're driven because of your inner disturbance. Both are disturbances in the force. I hope you see that. It's not a one-sided thing. So basically, if you don't pay attention, the natural thing that will happen is the outside will change, which it always does. It just goes about its weather, never sits still. All right? Somehow, by magic, which we'll discuss a little later, this inner change will take place, and you will lose your center. And you will go down there into those energies, and you will attempt to change. I'm embarrassed to say that we do this. You will attempt to change that which is to fit the junk that's going on inside of you. Isn't that inconceivable? It was all here before you got here. It will all be here after you leave. It represents billions of years of evolution and creation, and your consciousness drops into this, and for some reason, the wind that is blowing by you hits something inside of you, causing inner disturbances, and your reaction to all this is to go out there and stop the wind, because the wind is wrong, because they sure as heck shouldn't have made this happen inside of me. That person shouldn't have said those words, and he ain't never saying them again. I'm going to make sure he never said them again. That person is who I want to be near for the rest of my life, and I don't care whether they like me or not. I'm going to make them like me and go out there and do all kinds of things. In other words, I'm going to get busy changing the outside to fit my inside. Now, you have to go out there and compete, because that's what everybody else is doing. Everybody that's not conscious is out there trying to change the outside, people, places, and things, to fit these disturbances or attractions that happen inside because of the reception of the outside. So now all of a sudden I decide I want her doing one thing, you decide you want her doing another, and now not only are we there trying to manipulate her, we're fighting with each other. And this is the cause of every disturbance that exists on this plane. That everybody is out there trying to manipulate life, which has nothing to do with any of them. It would be here doing its thing whether you were here or not. It was here before humankind ever showed up. And it will be here if they decide to blow themselves up. We're talking about creation, all of creation, not just this planet Earth. It exists. You're a guest. Your consciousness is aware, that's all. Nobody made you the creator. Let's see you do what nature does every minute. Make the sap move through every plant. Make the rain fall the right amount everywhere. Make every wave in every ocean on this planet go up and down. How much do you think happens every moment? You see what level I'm talking about? Move every animal. Beat every heart. Move every cell. Come on. Who wants to take on the job? You're so powerful. You want to go out there and change creation. You don't run any of it. It all is so miraculous, it runs itself. And it's managed to survive and do its thing for billions of years. So now, because this weird thing happens inside of you, which you don't even understand, you think that you have the right to go out there and mess around with that which is. And that is the cause of all disturbance. All. Period. Because you are unable to handle it as it is, because you have problems inside of you, you go out there and mess with it. And someday, if you go very deep, you will understand that the motive that caused you to go out and touch it was disturbance. And because the energy came from disturbance inside of you, it will create disturbance outside of you. If there are little round riplets where something touched the water and the rings come out, and those represent the disturbances in life, if you touch them to stop them, you will create more. And that is what life is like. It's a pond which, if left to its own, is perfect. Absolutely perfect. It is the result of all that ever was, and it is passing by you. It's very much like weather. We still, as brilliant as we are, do not have the ability to control the weather. There's still hurricanes, there's still tornadoes, there's still rain, there's still drought. And don't tell me it's that way because everybody decided to leave it that way. The day that they think they can do something about it, they won't be out there doing something about it. You know that as well as I do. But in the meantime, even with all of our brilliance, we have not managed to control the weather. And yet, she does a good enough job to keep all the forests on the planet watered, to keep the oceans at the right level. Overall, she does a pretty darn good job over billions of years. Don't you think? You want to mess with her? If it was your vote and they figured out how to stop something, would you let them? Or is it better to let the waves come and let the cycles come as they will and to adapt to them? Because if you touch it, you own it. You start messing with it, you don't know what effect you're going to have on the rest of creation. And there's no way you can control it. The yogi is the one who knows that that is true of all of life. Here's a person. They are the result of how their parents treated them. They're the result of how their lovers treated them. They are the result of every injury that ever happened to them. They are the result of every single event that ever took place in their life. They are pretty seriously complicated things. All right? You don't like what she said? Change her. That's the funniest thing I ever heard of. How are we going to change somebody? What are you going to do? Undo all the impressions that ever happened to them? Just yell at them. They'll change. They will not. It's the same thing as if there's little ripples in the lake and you want it to be still. Just jump in there and hit them. They'll go away. They will not. You touch it, you own it. If I sit there and yell and make her change her behavior, I didn't change the causes of her behavior. I merely caused her to suppress her behavior. I own that. That has my name tag on it inside of her. And the disturbances that build up inside of her because she is suppressing belong to me. That's how it works. There's only one thing to do with life. Honor it. Accept it. Appreciate it. Dance with it. Participate in it. But not make it be what you think it should be because of the disturbances inside of you. And that's what's happening. If you attain a state even for a moment in deep meditation, you will have no problem walking through this world without thinking it's supposed to change. You will just be the witness. You will look at it, and it will move you to your depths. And a worm, an ant, a bird will send you into ecstasy. Why? Because they exist. Because they happen to exist, and because you're there to know that they exist. That's sufficient. The experience itself is sufficient. These are the deeper states. So basically it all comes down to, why does the outside cause these changes inside? If it didn't, you'd be at peace. You'd be fine. You'd honor it and appreciate it. If it does, it impulses you to action. It pushes you, motivates you, drives you, urges you in order to go out there, and it forces you to try to use your willpower and all of its force within you to control, manipulate, change the situations outside of you so that what? So that they don't cause the disturbance inside. And now the $64,000 question. Excuse me, sir. Why does the outside cause disturbances inside? Have you ever asked yourself that? Most people know. They never even asked. They just want to know, how do I change it? They've never even asked. Isn't that funny? The reason the outside causes disturbances inside is because of these impressions that are left inside, because of the samskaras, because of these patterns of energy that are seated inside of you, deep inside of you, which are events from the past which did not make it through. And so now, when things happen outside, these energies need to be released. They're like magnetic fields. And so if anything happens outside, it's very Freudian, anything happens outside, anything, these samskaras, these patterns of magnetic stored energy from the past, are so anxious to release that they will transfer or associate or be stimulated by anything, even though it doesn't seem related. It's able to translate itself into that. So that all of a sudden you see a shoe, and these things change inside. Over seeing a shoe, yeah, your heart can go crazy because you saw a shoe. Why? I have to figure it out. It's simple stuff. Somebody booted you in the butt with a shoe. Now you see a shoe, you jump. I don't know. All I know is you didn't process it when it happened. And so it stayed inside of you. That's all you have to understand. That there is such an event in the universe that external circumstances, wind, right, weather, that is blowing past you, doesn't make it through. It's because you resist it. That's why, by the way. The only way it would not make it through is because you use your will to resist it. When you use your will to resist it, it stays inside of you. That thing that stayed inside of you, that memory, that event, that impression, call it anything you want, is going to cause major problems for the rest of your life. No matter what it is. You will never be clear again till it's through with its journey. It was just trying to get through you, man. And you didn't let it. So now it stayed inside of you. Now every time you smell something, it reminds you of your mother and the time she yelled at you, this. Or you hear something, a nice music, or it reminds you of your first boyfriend, and this changed. And now all these things are changing inside, and you can't be here. You just keep getting blown away. You keep drifting off into these thoughts, into these emotions, into these feelings, into these dreams, into everything. You get lost inside in these ripples that can go on inside of you. So once the yogi notices this and sees how much sweeter it is to just be, to be here, and that there is nothing to be gained by all of this inner noise. Nothing to be gained by all of this. It is unnecessary. It's a disturbance in the force. Then what they understand is you can't control the outside. That just causes more trouble. You can't control these riplets because anytime you touch them inside, they get worse, just like water. So the only thing you can do is let go of the samskaras. And when it comes down to it, that is the core of spirituality. It is because these things are stuck inside of you that you keep getting hit. Ever get hit? Really hit? The day just things happen, they seem they just keep hitting inside of you. Everything that's happening in the day, bam, bam, bam. By the time you're done, it's like, you're in a boxing match. No, you didn't. You just walked through and the wind blew by. I don't understand. What do you mean a hard day? There's no hard days. What was it, made out of granite? Today the wind was granite. No. There's nothing happening. The planet's spinning through space. You're in the middle of nowheres, and words are coming at you, and things are coming at you, and all kinds of things, and they're just passing through. That's not what makes a hard day. What makes a hard day is that each one is hitting a big samskara. This person calls on the phone, blah, 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 ow! Before you even finish with that one, someone walks the door, boom, ow! Boom. What's happening? Nothing. Nothing's happening. The same thing's happening every day to everybody else. But it's hitting your stuff. And it happens so much and so often that you get overwhelmed, don't you? And that's what you mean. It was overwhelming. It was unbelievable. It was so hard. It's only hard because you can't let go. It's only hard because you can't let it be what it is. You're trying to make it be what you need it to be so it doesn't disturb you. And herein lies the essence of spirituality. The day you catch on that there's nothing wrong, and there will never be anything wrong, there will only be what is. And what causes you disturbance is not what is. It is that what is hits what you stored from before. These leftover energies. And that causes your emotions to go berserk and cause your mind to go berserk. If you want to grow, then you must let go of these leftover energies. Not try to control the world so it doesn't hit them, because that just takes on more stuff. How do you cleanse? Can you really get rid of these things in there? Yes. Absolutely. You can get rid of those things in there. Day by day, you can get rid of those things in there. And the day that you are using your life to do that is the day that you're on a spiritual path. I want you to attain a state where the more that hits, the better the day was. Don't even look back and take inventory. Don't do that. Just at the end of the day, understand that the waters of purification came at you. Hopefully they hit some stuff. That's what they're there for. And all day, you relax and remember, this is the dance of creation come to free me from myself. That's all that's happening. Nothing else matters. And you're willing to go through anything to let go of yourself. And you become fearless. You just let life unfold through you and around you and to you. And you will find that everything in life is your friend. Everything. If this is the state that you attain to. And I'm telling you that if you do this on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, your state of consciousness will change deeply. And it is not like you go off into some altered state. It is just that because you have less stuff gets hit. And because less stuff gets hit, you're able to let things be as they are. A man can be a man. A woman can be a woman. It's not a big deal. I'll bet you there's not a single atom that's different. I never yet heard that there was any type of atom off that periodic table that's in a woman that's not in a man. So why, if you see a woman or why, if you see a man, does it get weird in there? That's a good question. That's a real good question. Why? 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 And that's a lifetime of exploration for you to dare to sit deep enough inside yourself to explore where that noise is coming from. And it is noise. In truth, the right word for it is disturbance. It is disturbance to the peace. You just subjectively, I dare you to explore where it's coming from. You have to go deep inside to the source of things. And you will then see that they are coming from these samskaras. Period. All of them. And as you cleanse, you earn the right to be at peace. And peace is a very beautiful thing. Until ultimately they say the great peace comes. And when the great peace comes, it means you're not there enough to separate yourself from the rest. And you merge. And this is the highest of states. And there comes the true yoga, which is the oneness that Christ himself talked about in John. May they know the magic of oneness as I have known oneness in thee. May they be one in thee as I have been one in thee. He talks so beautifully about that mystical state that few but enough have fallen into, where they no longer exist as a separate entity experiencing the object. Subject and object become one, and there's just the nature of all, and you merge. And this, believe it or not, is your natural state. So this is the spiritual path. This is all your work. This is day by day, minute by minute. You're either out there making ripples, or you're in here letting go of the cause of ripples, which are your samskaras. You're taking nothing personal. It's just blowing by you. If it disturbed you, good. You got to change your attitude. It cannot disturb you unless it hits something. And that something it hit, you brought to the party, not the person who said or did something. It was obviously there first. They didn't simultaneously put it there and then hit it. You know darn well that stuff's in there. So either you want to let it go or you don't. And I hope you do, because it makes life a heck of a lot of fun. And you'll never have another problem in your entire life. You will only have growth situations. How was your day? Very growthful. Very growthful day. Very growthful. Yes, sir. Thank you. I think I'll go lay down. A little too much growth. Good. Good. Because when it hits it, it's trying to push it out of the way. Let it. Relax. It will pass. And you'll learn to do this. And never stop once you learn. And you'll grow so fast. And you'll have so much fun with every day. And real beauty will happen all around you. Jagrata.